yeah, we are having one heck of a night tonight. It's only just started. All right, I can only hope that this is running once again, which means now I want to be sure I wasn't burning that. Okay, so let's get this up and going again. As I mentioned before, what I have to do is get this as hot as possible. So let's rearrange this very slightly. All right, here's hoping. Okay, I can see a couple of people are showing up already. So good. We're starting again. Hello, Val's Black Cats Ruled. Oh yeah, this is definitely a fun night, and it's only just started. Besides the fact that Jamie had to go and get some more clams, seems that apparently somebody literally tripped over the power cord, and ended up. That meant my laptop suddenly shut off in the middle of this. Okay, which means now, as you saw already, we've got a layer of fake seaweed, namely cabbage. On top of that, we put some red tomatoes and some kielbasa. Now, for this, we're going to add our liquid, namely white wine. So, we're not going to do a full-blown boil. Here's the difference. We're just going to be steaming this, and that means we're only putting in enough liquid so that... there we go. And in fact, it's probably about all we're going to get. This was a cheap bottle of white wine too. So cheap it did not even come with a cork. When I took the screw off, I found out that was it. There was no cork on this. So to this, well, now that we've got this much going, we can start flavoring this as well. So let us throw in a little bit of thyme, but just a little bit, and a little bit of parsley. Actually, I don't even want to do it this way. A little bit of parsley. There we go. And to that, now, of course, the crucial ingredient, and that would be our Old Bay seasoning. Folks often would prefer to use Cajun seasoning, but I actually have liked Old Bay quite a bit. And we'll be using more of this as well once the seafood actually goes in. At this point, what I'm going to do is start steaming all of this for probably about, bring it to a boil and then probably steam it for about 10 minutes or so that we can start softening the potatoes. However, right now, nonetheless, let's get this all mixed in, shall we? And now it's just a matter of bringing all this to a boil, which in a big cast iron pot really should not take very long. So anyway, there's the start of our Clambake, or steam, or boil, whichever you prefer. Hello, folks. Hey, Pawpaw Dan, Honey Badger, Neshus River Catfishing, Turner Fowler, and Kale Hero. Okay, so far so good. We are somehow going to pull this thing off tonight, and I hope there are no more interruptions. But actually, there is trouble got a hold of the controls. Well, I'm not going to say who accidentally unplugged the power cord. Speaking of which, oh, good. Fortunately, the Ethernet cord did not disable, so we're still running on a direct wired internet connection. However, nonetheless, for this, in addition to all that, I've got a second pot. Jamie asked me to prepare this one for her because she does not like seafood. So, got a second pot just of some vegetables there, which means some more of the red potatoes, some of the cabbage, and some corn on the cob as well. I asked her what she wants this to be seasoned with, and she said she just wants salt, pepper, and garlic, but presumably she's going to mix something in afterwards, like barbecue sauce. So a little bit of salt. Let's start bringing this up as well. This one goes here. Here we are. A little bit of pepper. and a little bit of garlic powder. Nice and simple here. We'll be having some steamed vegetables here, although we are going to season it up. I will promise you that. Okay, now let's get this lid back on, and let's see. I've got a couple of things to say. There we go. Anyway, thank you for waiting. Now, as we mentioned previously, what we have here actually is one of my, just one of the joys of being live. Yes, exactly. There is a reason why people like Josh Wiseman, they never do live videos. And well, I know you folks have said you kind of like the chaos of these live videos because you never know what's going to happen next. And boy, is that ever the truth. I realize I'm probably not the only one to do things like leave a bag of clams at the market or trip over the power cord. But we will do our best to persevere. Now, as I mentioned already, this is a Birmingham Stove and Range. Oh, I can already feel that. I like that. This is a Birmingham Stove and Range number 12 size Dutch oven. This thing here is a real beast. It's about 12 quarts in capacity, which is certainly more than enough to take care of all of the food we're going to be steaming in this as well. As I said, I chose to use an iron pot rather than an enameled pot because I want this thing to get really, really hot, so that we'll definitely be able to steam all of this food here. Okay, the one thing I had mentioned before, as I said, we're doing this in the manner of a what they call a New England clam bake, although folks here have commented that this is actually similar to your southern seafood boil, crawfish boil, frogmore stew, low country boil, or the like. And there are definitely similarities, although it's interesting. I did a little bit of research into the history of these kind of clam bakes, and it's debatable as to who started this tradition first, whether it's whether it's here, whether it was here in New England or down south. The impression I get seems to be that there probably was. It actually started here in New England and was later adopted by the folks down south, and that's the part that is probably going to upset a number of folks here by saying that. However, it seems as though the clam bake was likely started by, in fact, it definitely was started by Native Americans. So yes, that means long before the colonizers, or whatever you want to call the settlers from England and Europe, came here. They were already gathering clams and baking them in holes with fires and coals on the beaches of New England. So this has been a long-term tradition, and it was said to have been adopted by the New England colonists, especially because they wanted to do something that was more American and less British. So the New England clam bake actually is quite an old tradition here. Meanwhile, when they talk about the history of Frogmore stew and Low Country boils down south, they usually point to somewhere around the 1800s or so. And there is apparently a story of an old soldier who was given the task of feeding about 100 people. And so he actually decided to use what was already a family recipe of his and put together a big crawfish boil, to which that in turn was actually a big hit, and that was the start of what they called Frogmore stew and the Low Country boil. Others say that the crawfish boil in down south may have actually came from the Africans who were forcibly taken from their homelands here to the U.S. And they say it may very well have been a slave tradition that started it. Of course, I don't think there's any real absolute evidence either way, other than it was known that New England, that Native Americans were doing these seafood boils for centuries, long before the U.S. was colonized. So we could get into arguing over the history of it, but why bother? It's history and it happened. And what's most important, of course, is that we've got ourselves a nice and simple and easy dish that really is so simple. Just about anyone can prepare this because, as you saw, despite the little mishaps that happened tonight, all we really need to do is throw everything together in a pot and start steaming it up or boiling it up. Some folks actually have compared a boil, by filling the pot with water and throwing in beer and lemons. Oh, yeah. That also reminds me. I just realized I forgot one crucial thing, and that is the lemons. So I think I better, let's do some of them. Some of them I think I'll do when I throw in the fish. But that means, oh, yeah, this is already starting to get warm. That's good. Let us Okay, well, as you can see, this is already starting to boil, so we're not off to a bad start. In fact, let's bring this down a little bit, shall we? There we go. Nice, better look here. Into this, let's start throwing in a few lemons. There we go. Now we're getting somewhere. All right, we're just starting to get some steam here, so that means really I just hold on 1 second. Hello, this is Eric speaking. What? If that's all we have, then that's what we will do. Okay, all right. Oh, okay, then that's what we'll do. That okay. That's what we'll have to do. Yes. All right. Okay, so be it. All right, thank you. Besides, I do have some clams. Okay. All right, thank you. All right, bye. Okay, that was Jamie, and she is at the supermarket. And unfortunately, their seafood or deli section is closed right now. So she's going to have to improvise. And she said, how about instead bringing in some frozen crawfish? And excuse me 1 second, I'm sorry. Jamie's not here. She will be back in about 10 or 20 minutes. Ugh. Just love all these interruptions. Nonetheless, okay, yeah. So, yeah, as I said, this looks like here. This is not only going to be a seafood boil, a New England clam boil. It looks like it is going to be more like a southern crawfish boil because, in addition to these clams, we're going to be throwing some crawfish in here. So, in regards to who started this type of dish, whether it's the north or the south, well, it doesn't matter because it looked like this is going to be something of a fusion of the two. We're going to be having clams and crawfish and shrimp too. So, yes, and as William Hurt says, improvisation can well be the mother of invention. Yes, indeed. Frozen crawfish would be perfect for this, says James Griffiths. And I can only agree here. So, Honey Badger, Pink Floyd ringtone. Well, yeah. Okay, and yeah, some folks have dropped off. Well, that's also because of the technical difficulties, unfortunately. Somebody else says I can't eat cabbage, gives me gas. Well, I'm trying the cabbage thing in the manner in an attempt to do an imitation of seaweed here. So, and nonetheless, Sam Cook says I'm doing great. About to take a pork shoulder out of the oven, and that sounds pretty darn good as well. So. So hello, Kenneth Kamian. Still can't pronounce your name, Kamianaki. Sorry being late. Well, as you can see, we've had a few delays ourselves as well. So, oh yeah, doing this again. Okay, one last interruption, and then I will be all set here. Looks like I've got to. Sorry, looks like a text came in on my phone that I have to forward immediately. So I'm very sorry for the delay. Basically, it looks like tonight, if there's any kind of a delay that could happen, it will. So I can only very much again appreciate all of your patience, folks. Nonetheless, we must keep going here. Okay, hello again, Val's Black Cats rules. Okay, that's some of our southern stuff. Okay, yeah, add some rice and Cajun seasoning. Well, we did throw in plenty of Cajun seasoning. I will reassure you of that. I'm hoping that may have actually been lost before we went out, before the power went out here. However, let me show you. We are actually using a whole bunch of Old Bay seasoning in here. So, in addition to the that smoked sausage, it's actually kielbasa, and the red potatoes and our fake seaweed cabbage. We are seasoning it with a whole bunch of Old Bay seasoning, which I know Old Bay actually comes from, from Maryland or the Baltimore area, and that's kind of appropriate as it seems like, since we seem to be doing something of a fusion of North and South tonight. So, oh well. At work, we call midweek disasters Whiskey Wednesdays. Well, yes, I've said already. I've got this mantra here that I keep falling back on, which is all too true, and that is that in cooking there are a few disasters and many learning experiences. But fortunately, you can still eat the learning experiences, and that looks like what we're going to be doing here tonight. Okay. All right, so enough with the apologies, I guess. Hello, Donald Webb. Bought a BSR fish fryer today, 17 and a half inches long, 4 feet deep. Nice. Well, congratulations. We'll be using the fish fryer for frying, baking, and roasting. You will get a lot of use out of that fish fryer. I can guarantee you that. I love my long fish fryer or oval roaster, as you might call it. I mean, that is a nice big and heavy pot. And as long as you have a lid to fit on it, you will be able to do just about anything in that. So, no number on top or inside the lid. That's interesting. If there's no number at all on the top or inside the lid, and if it is completely smooth on the inside without even a gate mark, then that might be an Asian pot. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but I'm trying to say that that might actually be the origin of that. So Old Bay is great on chicken too. Yes, I've done that as well. So, and it's definitely, I love using Old Bay. I love the taste of it. So it's got a nice kick to it and definitely loads and loads of flavor. So I've used Old Bay in most of my jambalayas and have no complaints about that. Honey Badger, I'm seasoning a large number 12 three-legged camp Dutch oven tonight. First round done. Well, congratulations to that. Okay, now is my BSR here a Red Mountain or a Century? Oh, good. This is getting hot on top. And the answer to that is yes. This is a Red Mountain lid and a Century pot, because they came in two separate pieces. They did not come together. The lid I was lucky enough to trade for, and I'm trying to remember what I traded for this lid. I think what I ended up trading for this lid was a. It wasn't a BSR number 12 skillet, but it may very well have been a Wapik. Hold on one second again. Oh, the door again. I'm very sorry. One moment. Okay. Um, Hello. Your mom is not here. She will be back in just a few minutes. All right. One moment. My aunt was just driving by. Okay. Okay. If you want to step in, feel free. Oh, yeah. I'm very sorry about that. Since Jamie had run off, people are knocking on the door for her all the time, unfortunately. But nonetheless, though, as I said, I actually traded I believe it might have even been a Wapik skillet, if I remember right, for this number 12 lid here. And I do not regret it in one bit. This actually is a very nice lid. It's extremely heavy and thick, and I believe it might even be a handwritten lid too, for that matter. So I'm quite happy with that. It has very large basting dimples on the inside, and the next time I open this thing up, I will show you that. The pot, on the other hand, came with a set of not one but two BSR number 12 Dutch ovens. You may remember I did a video on about throwing cast iron into a fire to clean it and restore it, and why this is a bad idea. And I mentioned then in that video that I managed to acquire not one, but two BSR number 12 Dutch ovens. And I believe that both of those Dutch ovens had, in fact, been salvaged from a house fire because both of these pots are, in fact, fire damaged. This one here is a spinner. And furthermore, it was permanently a shade of red, which also indicates that it was damaged by fire. But nonetheless, I was still able to season over it. And so, because of that, I am still using it and I'm going to continue to use it for as long as possible. 1 second. Hello? Oh, hello. That's okay. Yeah. Jamie's son has stopped by right now, and I've already told him that we are actually going to be having no, that Jamie went out on an emergency crawfish run, but should be back within just a couple of minutes or so. So if yes, exactly, because we're having a seafood clambake here tonight. So but now, as I mentioned, though, as I said, this is one of two pots here. That the other one was also a BSR number 12. Both of these, by the way, are Century Series number 12 pots. The other one, in fact, was even more of a spinner than this one, but more importantly, that other one had been permanently damaged by fire to the point where it could not be seasoned. I made several attempts to season that other pot, and the seasoning simply kept coming off. It did not stick to the pot, which meant that that pot had been permanently damaged by fire, and so I had to end up discarding that one. Nonetheless, at this time, I still have at least one BSR number 12. And so there's your answer, Pawpaw Dan. This is a Century pot and a Red Mountain lid. I'm hoping one of these days I can actually acquire a Red Mountain pot. But until then, I can only, and I will continue using this one. So. Okay, but oh, hi, Cynthia Wesley. How can I shorten my name on this? My name isn't a isn't a tongue twister. Yeah, you adjust your name in your profile. Yeah, I guess you have to edit your YouTube username or Google username. Either way, I believe it's YouTube though, so that you can so that you can give yourself another name. But hey, it's my fault if I have difficulty pronouncing your name. I mean, you don't have to change it just on my account. So, Shadow Walker XM, I had a dickens of a time getting back on for some reason. Yes, I apologize for that. As I said, we had kind of an interruption tonight, unfortunately, and we had to start with number 2 here. At this point, this thing is actually steaming pretty nicely. I have no doubt about that. So, in just another few minutes or so, or at least I can only hope when Jamie gets back, we will be able to have some we'll be able to throw some seafood in. I do have actually some seafood already, including about a pound of clams, as I mentioned. That was my mistake. I went to the seafood market yesterday, got myself a pound, 3 pounds of clams, a 1 pound bag and a 2 pound bag, and also a 2 pound bag of shrimp, cooked shrimp. And fool that I am, I ended up leaving one of those bags there at the market, and that was entirely my fault. That's why Jamie went on an emergency seafood run tonight. So, and I very much appreciate that, and that's one reason why I'm more than willing to wait until she comes back. But though, as I said, that's the story here. Oh, yeah, and I can see that the steam is actually starting to escape the lid here, which is definitely indication that this thing is steaming pretty well. And I know that once she gets back, we'll be able to put this into the pot right away. And what do we have here? Oh, okay, great. Hold on 1 second. Boy, are the interruptions just so much fun tonight. Let's bring this up and do this. I just had another text. There we go. But now, okay. So anyway, yeah. Hello, Daisy Bravo. Emergency crawfish run. Yeah, never suspected I would hear that. Yes, well, that, as somebody said, those are the perils of going live for doing something like cooking, no less. Yeah, cooking live. Boy, what a genius of an idea. I mean, you wonder why the professionals like Gordon Ramsay or Alton Brown and the like never thought of doing a live cooking show. Gee, it's almost as if something could have happened. Yes, however, your son is here. Okay. Hi. Okay. And Jamie's back, in fact, and I'd say we're just in time too, because I think we're at just about the right time too. So, okay, thank you so much, and I promise I will pay you for this. Holy cow! Oh yeah, this is well. Look what we ended up getting here. What Jamie ended up getting. In fact. So yeah, we ended up getting whole cooked crawfish. Well, in fact, that means even though this is frozen, this is really, I know that for a fact this is not going to be undercooked. That's for sure. Okay, and in fact, there are 3 pounds of this stuff too. So yeah, this is going to be quite an interesting New England slash Southern fusion clambake slash crawfish boil. Okay, yeah, that's definitely going to be one for the ages. That's for sure. Okay, but no, thank you very, very much, Jamie. Is she getting the crawfish from Walmart? They carry Louisiana crawfish tails and whole. I believe she went to Price Chopper, in fact. So, and it's a good thing too, because one thing I found that really, when it comes to getting fresh food, Walmart is not the place to go. Okay, but hey, look at that! Thanks to Jamie, we are. This is going to be. This has been salvaged. So, let me raise this a little bit, and you can probably even see the steam that's coming out on top. So we're off to a good start. If you'll excuse me 1 second, I have to get some seafood right now. Okay. Well, despite everything, I do have at least one bag of fresh seafood, and we've got some steamers here, so we're off to a good start. I'm thinking I should probably do the cook these first, in the hot steam before I add all of this frozen stuff. So let's do that, shall we? All right, let's get this out of here as best as we can. Okay, thank you for waiting. And now comes the fun part. Time to open up the pot. As I mentioned already, this is a Red Mountain lid. Ugh. Oh yeah, there we go. Off to a good start, that's for sure. But check out the size of these dimples here. So this is quite an impressive lid. At least I think so. All right, now where am I going to put this lid? I guess I have to put it over here. There we go. Okay, let's get these things in as quickly as we can, shall we? Here's some corn. Let's try to be fancy. Why not? I mean, this has been that kind of a night. I might as well splurge a little bit. Let's do a ring of corn here. I think they call this like pigs in a cornfield. Okay, a little by little, and in go the clams. All right. I'm thinking we will steam these for at least, probably about 10 minutes or so. Ugh. Before we add the frozen stuff. And yeah, I just realized one other thing. I probably should have soaked those clams in water before putting them in the pot. Nonetheless, there we go. I've never had crawfish. What does it taste like? Good question. This will be my first time having crawfish as well. I'm guessing that it's not quite the same as having lobster. That I'm familiar with at least. So, Southern New England crawfish boil. Yeah, that's a good way to describe it. Okay, from here, as I mentioned, by the way, notice how at this point, we're still only like 30 minutes into this live and it's only 20 minutes of 9. That also shows you how fast and easy it is to do these. to do these big seafood boils. I mean, the hard part is simply bringing the liquid up to a big, heavy rolling boil. Once you've done that, then pretty much the rest of it is cut and dried. As you can see, I just started steaming those. No, I started boiling and cooking those potatoes in advance, and then from there, I've just added the clams, and it really should not take more than 10 minutes for those clams to open up. So at this point, when the currently the live says 30 minutes, based on my talking and everything, I'm thinking by the time we reach 38 minutes, we will be all set at that point, and we'll be ready to throw in some more. What type of rubs, dimples, ridges, etc.? Dimples, ridges, nubs. Oh, I see. You're talking about lids. My apologies. You know, I know they talk a lot about these basting ridges and spikes and the dimples and everything underneath the lid, and I can't say I would really be able to tell a difference in regards to how the those designs underneath the lid work. I mean, the whole point, of course, is that condensation is supposed to be able to drip off of that onto the food, and reportedly it works well that way. But I would not be able to tell you the difference between, say, a Griswold lid with its circular ridges versus a Lodge lid with the spikes underneath versus a BSR lid with the dimples underneath. And Cynthia Wesley, thank God for the South. I'm trying to describe the taste. It's a fishy taste, kind of like shrimp, but better. Well, that definitely is an interesting way to describe it, and I'm looking forward to having it myself. So, okay, if you can get glass lids, well, there is that too. Of course, the disadvantage of glass lids is number one, they break. Number two, they also don't go well in the oven. So, if you're going to be doing a lot of oven baking, then I would suggest an oven safe lid, which could very well mean an iron lid like we have here. Granny Graham, my kids and grandbabies love it, but I guess can't miss something you can't have or haven't had. I guess that's probably what you're referring to there. So, okay, and what? Okay, let me get my mouse here. Thank you very much for the crawfish, Jamie. So, let me see if we've missed anything. And Granny Graham, I don't eat shellfish due to allergies. Oh, that's what you're talking about. So, okay, Eric T, I've never had crawfish. You and me both. So this is definitely going to be something new. Southern New England style. Cynthia Wesley just talked about the Dutch oven. Well, that's my hope as well. But yeah. Yeah, it's been a little bit of an adventure tonight, no question about that. And once again, I can only appreciate everybody for sticking around for this, at least so far. You need to do a Louisiana crawfish boil. Yeah, that's one of those things that I still have to do at this point, although it's pretty similar to what we have here. I mean, as you can see, I've already thrown in potatoes and lemons and onions and some smoked sausage as well to go with this, and some corn on the cob too to go with the seafood. So there's really very little difference between what we're doing here and a true southern crawfish boil, especially since we're going to be using crawfish tonight. That's for sure. You may need your help on that boil. Yeah. Yeah, if and when I have a chance to do a seafood boil with a true experienced southern cook, I very much am looking forward to the opportunity. I have the spike lid on one, says Val's Black Cat's Rules, and rings on another. And I'll bet you're probably in my predicament in that it's really hard to tell any difference between the two, is it? I'm more interested in just simply having a lid that fits. We call them crawdads where I am. And that's where we get into differences between the different kind of boils that they have down south as well, partly arguing about the seasoning as well as the additions that go into it, kind of like the difference between different kinds of jambalaya, whether or not you use tomatoes, for instance, in your jambalaya. All right, we are at almost 35 minutes, so we've got about 3 minutes to go before we get to the next phase here. Cynthia Wesley. I had a nephew come from Illinois, I guess Illinois. He was just chewing. It's pretty good, but crunchy. And oh, I see. He was eating the whole thing, shells and all. I love the videos you put out. Says Frank Marullo, collection of cast iron. Okay, I just got a new phone so I can join the live chat. Well, thank you very much, and hello, welcome to our chat, Frank. It's always nice to see new faces here, and please feel free to talk and chat and ask questions and answer questions. That's one of the reasons why I find this chat to be so much fun. That plus the fact that we only have a couple of minutes to go now before this part of the boil is ready. You need to bring over a good Cajun show. Yeah, yes, indeed. How y'all are, and first you got to make a roux. All right. Warren, Ukraine. I do use tomato in jambalaya. I didn't realize it was optional, but I'm in the Pacific Northwest. Yes. Oh yeah, there are people who are really, really picky about their ingredients in their traditional dishes, especially when it comes to tomatoes. I mean, I have been using tomato paste in my Boston baked beans from the beginning, and I have been criticized by a number of people saying that tomatoes don't go into Boston baked beans. Well, I think it actually adds a good consistency and a little bit of background flavor to the sauce. So I certainly don't have any complaints about using tomato paste in mine. That's for sure. Mike DeMars, I remember being down south. A list of guys had a huge platter of crawfish, ate the guts and all. That just grossed me out. I'm sure this is one of those things that folks grow up with. I mean, if you start eating it that way since you're a kid, that's probably how you are always going to eat them. So it's really a matter of taste, quite literally. I'm sorry? Oh. It wouldn't do it because I wasn't close enough to home. Okay. Will do then. Hi guys, sorry. Yeah, no, well, no, sorry. Well, no need to worry. We're about to open up your crawfish. Here I came to save the day. Yes, exactly. And by the way, don't you have a pie to show off? Oh, yes, I do. Yeah. So, okay, while we're doing this, temporarily, we're changing the subject very, very briefly to show this, which has nothing whatsoever to do with crawfish, and it has everything to do with a cheesecake pie. And Jamie made the filling herself, and she's actually quite proud of this and wanted to show this off. So it's like an air cheesecake. It's really, really light. It's made with homemade whipped cream, cream cheese, confectioner sugar, and Nutella. So yeah, this so we are very much looking forward to trying that out along with our seafood. Let me just send this code. Let me just send this text to Jamie one last time, and then I do believe we are into the next phase of this here. I guess you could call it, well, like you said already, Southern New England crawfish boil. So, and here we are again. Oh, look at this. Meanwhile, it looks like the clams have opened up. So, yeah, so we are definitely on a roll here. That means we just throw in. It worked. Oh, yay. Don't drop it in the pot. The way things have been going tonight, that could very well happen. So, all right, but now comes the fun part. That means we get to throw in some crawfish. Oh, this is going to be so interesting, that's for sure. And while we're at it, I've got one other thing. Yeah, that's for you. He's been knocking all night. Okay. Finally, one last thing on top of all this, and that is we've got some cooked shrimp too while we're at it. However, now at this point, let us quickly throw in a few more lemons. By the way, notice this huge pot here is actually getting close to full. that often happens with these boils, that's for sure. I'm sure anybody will tell you this. When you do a real boil down south, or even up here in north, you've got to use the biggest pot you have available. And even though this isn't my biggest pot, it's still pretty darn big. Onto this, let us throw a whole bunch more of the Old Bay. There we go. And finally, on top of that, yeah, okay. Let me see. I've got to quickly open up this thing of shrimp here, and then we'll be closing this for the last time. Yeah, I know all the steam's getting out. That's why I have to do this quickly. Thank you, everybody, for waiting. But now, on top of this, let's throw. Yeah, there we go. Throw a little bit of shrimp here. All right. And now, finally, nice thing, of course, so all this is we're adding a little bit more liquid to the pot, too. However, now, here's another nice thing about having a big, heavy lid. It actually fits. Oh, and there we go. Boy, I certainly was not expecting it to turn out like this, but nonetheless, if this is a success, then I can definitely say this is one of those dishes that pretty much can't fail. Let me get these things back in the fridge, and then I'll be done. Done with the interruptions, that is. So that is what we call a full pot. Yes, indeed. Oh yeah, I can smell things already. So we are off to a decent start here. All of that melting ice is going to add a little bit more moisture to the liquid that's already in the pot. So there's no doubt that this is not going to dry out. And yeah, okay, because we've got layers here, mind you. I do want to remind folks that on starting on the bottom of this, there we are. On the bottom, besides the onions and the garlic, I put a layer of cabbage, which I have seasoned with olive oil and salt, in the hope to make it similar to seaweed. Then to that we have the red potatoes, and then we have the red potatoes, and then after that, there's a layer of kielbasa, and then after that comes the corn and the clams, and now the crawfish, and finally the shrimp. So, I think I hear the surf on the shore. Yes, indeed. Well, as far as surf and turfers goes, we certainly have plenty of surf here. In fact, we probably should be using more turf while we're at it, because there's plenty here. Oops, this I think I can even turn down a little bit. There we go. Because there's plenty of seafood. Jamie and I are not heavy onto the seafood, but nonetheless, not to worry. This is not going to go to waste. For starters, my friend Mama Bear has already volunteered to eat this. So I hope she knows what she's in for. I can only hope she's watching this. Joshua Bouchard. The only thing that's missing is some chopped lobster tail. I looked for lobster tail yesterday and could not find it, unfortunately, not even at the seafood market. They had full lobsters, but I've already spent enough on the seafood, and so as such, Grumpy pointed out the lemon hasn't been put in the Dutch oven yet. Oversight or intentional? These lemon pieces. Actually, I would call that an oversight. Now that you're saying that, let's get this in. There we go. There we go, and I hope that helps. I can see I'm not the only one who thinks the lemon rinds go into the boil. Oh, definitely. I no arguments there. I mean, after all, that's where lemon zest comes from. You've got flavor in those rinds, and I agree that you certainly don't want to waste any part of it. So, no arguments at all. And I hope this new house will have extra reinforcement. I hope so too. Yeah, that's the other thing at this point, as far as the house is concerned. At this point, I'm in the underwriting phase, and I'm just waiting for the lawyers to finally get around to finishing up all of their arguing over imaginary little details on this and finally get down to a closing date so that we can finally move once and for all within about the next month. And that's my hope. And hello, Stefan Sleck. The way to eat crawfish, you pull the tail off the body, then you suck the head and bite the tail. And yeah, it sounds like somebody's son probably could have learned that lesson. Thank you for showing a substitute for seaweed because I can't find it around here. Well, I'm only hoping that it works. So, oh yeah, as for the liquid, yes, I used white wine. Some folks could use a combination of water and white wine, or maybe even chicken broth and white wine, and all of that would work. I deliberately only used so much liquid because I wanted to steam this as opposed to boiling it, because it's been shown already steaming the food really gives it more flavor than boiling it. I mean, yes, boiling it, you do end up with a great broth. There's no denying that. But the food itself tends to become more washed out. So my hope is that by steaming it, this will be a lot more, you know, palatable, I guess there's a word for you. So Daisy Bravo, lobster over the top, too costly to waste for the real people. Yeah, my lobster cooking records, I'm still working on that. I've tried doing a clam bake steam in this manner with lobsters in the pot, and the lobsters themselves tended to come out underdone. Because of this, I've found that I personally am at the point where I would just rather cook the lobsters separately and then lay them on top of the pile of food here when it comes time to serving it. Um, Although my last lobster was about a year, maybe almost 2 years ago. 2 years ago? No, that can't be. No, it was last year. Okay, yeah, last year for the Fourth of July. In fact, for Mama Bear, I made lobsters for her and her husband, and that turned out great. As a matter of fact. Yeah, for me personally, I don't even know why it seems to become a 4th of July tradition for me to do seafood on the 4th of July, but that's what it's turned out to be. A couple of years ago, if you look on my channel, there's a video where I did pan fried or pan seared lobster. Instead of boiled, we actually seared lobster in a cast iron pan, and that turned out pretty darn good. Then I made another attempt at a clam bake, which turned out to be a little underdone, and that's why I'm determined not to undercook this one tonight. Then there were the lobsters I made for a Mama Bear and her husband last year. And now here we are with what started out as a New England clam bake and is becoming something of what you folks already call a Southern New England crawfish boil. I actually like the term of that, in fact. The fat in the head is flavorful and delicious. The tail has an almost similar texture to lobster. And yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to seeing this, especially since that's already cooked crawfish and cooked shrimp too, for that matter. All we really need to do is heat it up. There's quite frankly no way to lose here. So I'm betting that what time is it now? It is a little past 9 o'clock. I'm betting within like maybe about the next 5 or 10 minutes, I think this is all going to be done. So I'm not going to be ending this quite yet. First of all, of course, we need to see the reveal. There's no denying that. Rachel Stratman, yeah, lobster is too dense, but crab is magnificent. We do a crab boil for July 4th. Only serious crab eaters are invited. And yes, thank you very much, Papa Dan, asking for a thumbs up. Yeah, we had some fun tonight in that we had a couple of emergencies like we always seem to do, between my running out of clams and Jamie having to do an emergency crawfish run, as well as accidentally tripping over the power cord, causing the live stream to go down and having to start another live stream. Yeah, definitely we've got chaos here. No question about that. So got a new named recipe. Yeah, in fact, I like that. Southern New England crawfish boil. Quite appropriate. And in the midst of all this, I had promised Jamie as well her own little pot, which I should probably even turn off at this point. I hope I haven't overdone these. This is where we took the extra vegetables and and boiled them for her with some salt, pepper, and garlic. Let me open this up and see how this turned out. See what we have here. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, this is definitely done, no question about that. So we're off to a decent start. I think all I have to do now is let it cool down. So I'm moving it up. All we have to do is let it cool down, so I'm moving it off the heat. Meanwhile, this is still going very nicely. I will repeat what I said earlier tonight as well. I used wine as the initial liquid, and it's entirely likely that the alcohol is going to affect the seasoning in this cast iron pot. It's likely that after this is all cleaned out, this pot will probably need to be reseasoned, in fact, because the alcohol can certainly affect the seasoning. However, on the whole, I would have to say it's probably worth it. I will say again, I chose to use a bare iron pot here as opposed to an enameled pot because I wanted to get this as hot as possible. Um, I've seen recipes for for an oven or even a clam bake on the grill where they say you do things like heat up your grill to 400 degrees in order to properly cook it, and I will disagree there. I mean, especially since we're using a lot of liquid here, I currently would prefer to say we just, again, get this as hot as we possibly can. And also, that's kind of more humane as well. Last year, when I cooked those lobsters, I made sure to use a bare iron pot, especially for that reason, to get that pot screaming hot and to get the water as to as much of a rolling boil as possible so that we could dispatch the lobsters as quickly as we could. Yeah, or if you prefer, yes, I will say it, so that we could kill the lobsters as quickly as we could. That's reality, and I'm not going to shy away from that. Okay, what are you making? Asks Debbie. Well, what we're doing at this point is, how about we show folks? Because I think we're just about ready here. Essentially, what we got here is a crawfish boil. And what I think I should do is finally start mixing all this up. So, get out our wooden spatula here and put it all together. Oh, yeah, now I can definitely smell this. Now it's starting to smell like seafood. Trying to bring this all the way up from the bottom. There we go. There are some of those potatoes and some of that cabbage as well. There we go. Now we are getting somewhere. And here is the end result. We're at the point here, I think, where I could very well take a couple of pictures of this. So let me carefully put this lid aside. Take my trusty phone, snap a couple of photos, because this is definitely going to be photo worthy, I think. Let's bring this up. There we go. Oh yeah. And now let me do a very quick video for TikTok. This should only be a few seconds as well. So thank you for your patience here. Happy 4th of July, everyone. For this year, we present, I guess you could call it, a Southern New England crawfish boil, in that it started out as a clam bake, but we ended up using some Southern ingredients in this as well, especially crawfish. We've got crawfish, we have kielbasa, corn on the cob, shrimp, a lot of clams, some red potatoes, and even a little bit of cabbage as an imitation seaweed. Bon appetit, folks, and have yourselves a happy 4th of July. There we go. That should take care of TikTok. But yeah, I'd say we've got ourselves a nice little seafood boil here, or steam if you prefer. And what's more, especially since the crawfish and the shrimp were pre-cooked, we know that and that nothing here is going to be undercooked. Meanwhile, the clams here have opened up very nicely. So I think that means we are probably at the point where we're going to have to start getting ready to serve this. Oh yeah. But as I mentioned, is anybody who has made these seafood boils, yeah, one of the reasons why these things are so incredibly popular, well, there are several reasons. Number one, I think, is because this thing is so easy to make. This is something that even a beginner can do. Although, of course, the ones who make these crawfish boils don't like telling people that. Literally, all you have to do is chop up your ingredients, throw them in the pot, and boil them until they're done. Period. End of story. And as you can see, you end up with a ton of food. No matter what, you always end up filling up your pot to the fullest, and there's always going to be leftovers as well. Normally, at this point, you would dump this out onto a tabletop covered with newspaper. And that's the part, I have always had trouble understanding. I understand it's traditional, but you figure the newspaper, well, number one, gets all pulpy, and all you end up with is gobs of, moist newspaper blobs mixed in with the food. Not to mention that how sanitary is the ink that the newspaper is printed on. So I've always wondered why you're supposed to dump this on a tabletop with newspaper. I'm not going to do that. I'm simply going to put this in some containers so that I can serve it to Mama Bear and her husband and everybody else. But we definitely have got something going here. That's for sure. All right. Now it's after 8 o'clock and you're hungry. Well, congratulations, Daisy Bravo. I'd have to say that means that this succeeded, about as well as it could. So, yeah. It certainly helps that this is really like a can't fail recipe, especially since I did kind of cheat a little bit and used a couple of pre-cooked ingredients. But then again, considering the cost of how much this stuff costs, it might actually be a little safer in that way to kind of like cheat a little bit every so often. Meanwhile, here, even the corn on the cob is definitely done because you can see that the pieces of corn, while they're still on the cob, they become a little bit wrinkled. So they're definitely well done as well. And yeah, actually, Daisy Bravo, I managed to stay awake to enjoy. William Hurt looks better than, what does it say? Looks better than the original Low Country boil. Well, well, I'm glad you think so. But yeah, definitely colorful. I will certainly say that. Grumpy old gringo. Newspaper is easy to dispose of, and the ink in newspaper is not toxic, so I'm told. Well, yeah, I don't think anybody's died from it, so. Cynthia Wesley ain't heard nothing from the man, just gawking at the screen. You're supposed to dump the broth onto the newspaper. You aren't supposed to dump the broth onto the newspaper, just the food. Well, there is that. Yes, you are right. There are a couple of ways to do that. One is a lot of folks you actually use make a basket, a boiled basket, a metal basket on the inside so that you can lift it out of the pot and that way just dump the food onto the newspaper. Other folks may just simply cheat and pour or drain off the broth first, or you could actually scoop it out. Although, of course, it's a lot more photogenic for it to be dumped out in front of everybody. That's for sure. And okay, yeah, we know low budget. Well, yeah, some of this stuff, especially recently, is actually quite expensive. Okay, well, I mean, you might want to take a look, even if it's not something that you would want to eat. Here, here is the result.
Oh, nice.
So,
Pretty.
yeah, and actually, we have you to thank for that, by the way. Yeah, because as you can see, we put your crawfish to good use there.
Yeah. That coating and everything. I don't know. So I think keep trying to wait from your house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I do the Wi-Fi.
All right. Well, if you have to, you have to. How was the pie, by the way? Oh, congratulations on that. So, you need to make a show about how to cook a nutria. I would love to. I have been saying for years, and I know folks who have been here will know that I have been saying this. I've been saying that I want to try all kinds of foods from all over the world. And another thing that I like to say is that if tell myself I've never had it before, then I have to have it or I have to try it. I have said I would eat rat meat if it was properly prepared and cooked, not raw, definitely not raw. And they do actually eat rat meat in some areas of the world. And that's where it comes up with nutria. The huge Louisiana swamp rat, which actually, in fact, is an invasive species. It's not native to Louisiana, which is one reason why there's open season on those things, because they escaped, they damaged the environment. Everyone wants to get rid of those things, and so pretty much anybody is free to go hunting nutria rat in it. $5 a piece. There's a bounty on them, apparently. So yeah, and there are in fact recipes for cooking nutria as well. Okay. All right. Let me say this here. If when you're ready.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay. It is 079 6537. Okay.
All right, here we go.
There we go. Don't even ask what that was about. But yes, nutrias are actually considered edible. If you look on the official Louisiana state of Louisiana website, they actually have a couple of recipes for those, because they're trying to encourage people to get rid of them as much as possible. So yes, I would very much like to try nutria. I would very much like to try cooking nutria. Of course, unfortunately, shipping food from Louisiana to Massachusetts is not exactly the easiest things to do. So, but who knows? Hopefully, maybe say by next April Fool's Day, for instance. Kind of related to rats and guinea pigs. Yeah, they are. Which is why they call them Louisiana swamp rats. Um, but there are a lot of other things that I'm still looking forward to trying, and hopefully will try one of these days. I've had alligator, was not impressed with it, or maybe not impressed with the way it was prepared. Well, the one I had was too rubbery, I'm afraid. So, it, m- yeah, it's got to be cooked right. I probably tried. Probably was prepared poorly when I had it that time. So,
I've had rattlesnake, I've
mm.
had ostrich, I've had
Oh, you
bison.
Oh yeah, I've had bison. Bison was pretty good. I haven't had ostrich yet. One thing that really knocked me out of the park, and would love to make some more of it. Wild boar. I've had wild boar sausage. In fact, let me recommend that to everybody, folks. If you have a chance to have wild boar, do it, because wild boar, the best way to describe the flavor of wild boar is like an extreme pork. It's a pork with the flavor kicked up several notches. And I don't mean greasy, I mean the intense flavor. It is a really great and delicious pork flavor. And yeah, I would not hesitate to have wild boar again. So okay, having said all that, Justin Boo says, I've had breaded fried alligator on a stick, and it was amazing. Them big restaurants in Louisiana cooking some for big bucks. It's a delicacy, they say. Wild boar is super. Alligator, I've had more than once. I just don't like it. Yeah, well, there is that. If you know you don't like it and you've had it more than once, nobody's going to force you to have it. But at this point, I think we are getting on again to where we wanted to be. But I very much appreciate it. And I'll say one last time: notice how fast and easy it was to cook this dish, even despite the problems I had earlier tonight. Yeah, Jamie doesn't know. Unfortunately, the live stream conked out, and I had to restart it about 10 minutes in. So yeah, it's been an entertaining evening, that's for sure. But yet, even despite that, we got this huge pot of food cooked in under an hour. So this is one reason why these crawfish boils or seafood boils or whatever you call these boils or clam bakes are so popular. They are easy to make, they cook fast, and of course they look great and they feed a lot of people. all of that is definitely a point in their favor. So, yeah, if you have a chance to do a seafood boil, I very much encourage it because it's easy. It's almost a can't fail type of dish. It can be expensive if you're not careful with the ingredients, but it's one of those things that's easy to make. It's a crowd pleaser. People will remember it. So, and I very much highly recommend that. So, for that reason, I think that's about all we need to do at this point to call this an evening because here we go. We've got our boil, and I can only thank everybody for your patience. Um, yeah, what can I say? It's like we seem to run into this chaos every week. And yeah, I know that's why this is Cast Iron Chaos. But I try to get these things running as smoothly as possible. And well, all I can do is see how things turn out next Wednesday. I'll do my best to be prepared for it. Other than that, though, I can only, again, especially very much appreciate everybody who shows up and shows up more than once when we have problems, like Debbie and Pip Gorn, Cynthia Wesley, Daisy Bravo, Papa Dan, and uh, Roadside Assistance Guy, Val's Black Cats Rule, and so many others. I very much appreciate everybody for your patience and for your friendliness, and especially for enjoying this. So, because that's really what makes all of these funs. I'm sorry. Uh, yes. Well, Jose Latias, I haven't seen him yet tonight. He might have had something to do. I mean, you figure we're getting towards the holiday weekend, so it's quite possible that everybody has things to do. So, and I don't blame them one bit either. So, and hello, Glock 30 fan. Yeah, as you can see, we cooked some crawfish tonight, along with a whole bunch of other things. And now all I have to do is start eating it. And for that reason, I'm very grateful to everybody for showing up, and very grateful to everybody for coming by and making this so much fun. Very much appreciate this. And well, we will be doing this all once again next week. So have a good evening, everybody. Bye. See you next Wednesday.